Okay, I think we're live. How are you guys? Welcome to a new week of the Brew Crew, and we're your hosts. I'm Mike,
And Mike.
and we are going to be recapping UCLA's 28-34 loss at home to the Arizona Wildcats. Yeah. Definitely a game. Move that light over. Definitely a game that we're not happy about. That's for sure. Definitely a winnable game. I've watched that game about 3 times. I've watched the highlights. I replayed certain plays over and over again. I looked at stats. Um, it's a game that's very painful because it was a game that was very winnable. And what makes it really painful is I didn't think the defense played that bad. I think they made some pretty crucial stops when they had to. They not only stopped them once at the end of the game to prevent a touchdown, took it out. They stopped them twice. They kept UCLA in the ball game. Um, they slowed them down a lot in the second half. Look, when you have a quarterback like Jaden Delora that can move around like that and extend plays, it's in this day and age of football, it's almost impossible to defend. And I think they played well. I think they can make improvements. Um, one play, he scrambled, he threw a dart into the end zone. I felt like our linebacker, I think it was John Bonds, at number 21. I thought he was right there. The only thing he had to do was stick his hand out and deflect it on fourth down.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, some you don't know what it's like in game. Um, but I will say this: defensively, they held a team that had one of the top offenses in the country in check enough to win. And offensively, they executed about as poorly as they did all season. With that being said, they still had a shot to win the game. Even on the last play, they had a shot to win the game.
If DTR would have set his feet, it would have been a dime. Bobo was wide open,
Yep.
and DTR had enough time to set his feet.
Yeah,
if DTR just set his feet,
Bobo
would have been wide open and caught it.
He ran on the
Touchdown.
run. He ran on the run, and it caused the ball to float a little longer. I appreciate the way he plays all year, but in this one particular play, if he would have set his feet and threw that ball, it's very likely they would have scored. On the last play of the game, kicked a field goal. That's game. But better they get this bad game out of their system now. They got a big game coming up. It really stings. I mean, if I would have told you, Mike, prior to this game, or before the game, I'm like, hey, I know the outcome of this game. UCLA, their running back, Zach Charbonnet, is going to rush for.
Looking it up.
He is going to rush for 180 yards on the ground. What would you think?
Typical game.
That they would win. They lost. And I think a big reason why they lost was they had a slow start. Before you knew it, this game, they made a stop on defense. Offense was slow. They didn't score any points in the first quarter. They were down 14-0. You can't get down 14-0 to a team with a powerful offense early in a game. It's hard to dig out of that hole. With that being said,
they almost dug out of
it. They did. They actually got the lead late in the game. But you know what would have been better? If they got a two-score lead late in the game. And I think all these things, when they go back and practice this week and look at the film, these are good teaching tools, good lessons to learn for the upcoming game this week. I'm going to let my dogs calm
Gotta
down.
let our dogs calm down. Two German Shepherd and French Bulldog.
They're probably yelling, they're probably barking at a wildcat outside. That's the male people, the male lady. Yeah, so the turnover battle. Arizona fumbled the ball twice and recovered it twice. That was big.
Yeah.
That was big.
Against Utah, they fumbled 7 times. 4 of those fumbles were turnovers.
They did fumble 7 times?
Yep. Showed it in the games. Showed it in the game.
This was just a game. And another thing that was really interesting at the Rose Bowl, I heard, I don't know if it's true, that they were working on the field and UCLA players were losing footing, sliding all over the place. I hope that issue gets resolved. I hope the ground is a little better for this next upcoming game.
Against USC.
Yeah.
We're sold out, too.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that game tomorrow.
No, after the game.
Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow.
I don't know what else to say about this game other than it really hurt because losing this game makes our chances to get to the Pac-12 championship. Look, we're in the same boat. We still have to win this week. Okay. We have to win these next 2 games, and then we have a shot to get to the Pac-12 championship. But in order for that to happen, Washington State has to beat Washington. And the Utah and Oregon game, that's interesting. That has to go a certain way.
Well, hold on.
It,
We need Utah to lose because they
Utah.
would be the team that if UCLA, if they both had a shot, they would be the team that went for the tiebreaker over UCLA. That's why Oregon is the team we need to win more. Here's Mike.
You're talking. All right, so what were you saying, Mike?
I'm just saying that Utah has to beat Oregon.
If Utah beats Oregon,
because Oregon has to beat Utah
I'll
because
tell you right
Utah
now.
is the team that if UCLA got in and Utah also were to get in, Utah would probably be the team that tiebreaker would be.
These are 2 options that we have to make the Pac-12 championship game. We have to win out. Okay, there's no exceptions about it. We have to win out. Okay, now there's 2 scenarios. If Oregon wins, okay, we need Oregon we need Oregon to win out.
Who do they have to play?
Oregon State. Okay, and Washington State has to beat Washington. If Utah wins, we have to win. Oregon State has to win, and Washington State has to win. Washington beating Oregon is not good for us. Talk about it.
What? Look, to tell you the truth, it's not good for us. Reason? I don't even know the reason, really. Yeah. I don't really know the reason why.
What?
I don't really know the reason why.
Why what?
Why Washington beat Oregon?
Because Washington beat Oregon because they hung around, they kept it close, and they caught Oregon making a mistake late in the game.
What was that mistake?
A fumble. I dropped. They didn't convert on fourth down, and they made they yeah, they didn't convert on fourth down, and there was this one play on another fourth down. They slipped when Bo Nix was hurt. They brought in a backup. They did a read
Reaction.
option, and the running back slipped. So eh, that game has being that there could be a four-way tie with USC with a bunch of teams. Washington and UCLA get disqualified because they both lost to one Arizona, the other Arizona State. So those losses for
We
Washington and
didn't lose to Arizona State.
no, Washington lost to Arizona State,
Oh,
UCLA lost to Arizona. So those two losses
will punch us out.
will really affect us as far as how our chances. Washington has a slim chance. They have to win out, and they need us to lose out.
It
And
can't happen.
and yeah, the Pac-12. It could get really crazy, and all these things hinge on Washington and Utah beating Colorado. If Colorado beats Utah or Washington, well, hell's going to break loose in the Pac-12. So, um, but at the end of the day, all this stuff doesn't matter. What matters is that
UCLA is
UCLA.
definitely going to a bowl game.
Well, yeah, UCLA has to learn from this loss.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this was a game that was winnable, and UCLA played very poorly to start the game. Okay, they moved the ball well. They have to be careful giving up sacks in crucial times. Um, Before the half and after the half, you got to score points if you have the ball. And they didn't do that. They DTR had a crucial fumble going in to halftime, which they should have reviewed it. I thought he was down, but nevertheless, they didn't score before halftime. Coming out, missed field goal. So, you know, this was a game. It really stung, and
But it's bad. It's good we get this bad game out of our system now, right before USC.
yeah,
We're so lucky we got that out of us.
yeah. You don't. Uh, I watch a lot of the post game press conferences and interviews with the players and the coaches, and there's this one saying that they keep reiterating: "Don't let one loss beat you twice. Don't let one loss beat you twice." And I think that's something everybody can learn from. They lost this week. They got to put it behind them and work hard to how are they going to make this loss make them better? What can they learn from it? And I think the improvements that they have to make from this game are very it's in their grasp. They could make these improvements. Um, it stings, but what are you going to do? How did you feel when did you think this was going to be a hard game?
No.
I personally overlooked this game. I was more worried about Arizona State than Arizona, and
He was before this game. He was just looking like USC. He was only focused on USC. He wasn't focused on Arizona.
I'm a fan. I'm not a player, but I personally think I don't think that they were looking ahead. I felt like I think you're going to see a greater effort on every play in this next game against USC than you did at Arizona. I felt I believed they didn't think it would be that much of a battle, you know. Um, but hey, if you want to be a good football team and you're becoming a good football team, and that's what you're growing at your university, you got to expect people to bring their A game because they want to beat you. So you have to Everybody wants to beat a good team, and UCLA is a good team. So they have to keep that in mind every time they step out on the football field. Um, that's pretty much all we got for this week covering Arizona. Um, it was a game that, they could have won, they should have won, but they didn't. So they have to move on and they have to get ready for this next game.
Against USC, which
Yeah.
we'll be making a preview on tomorrow. But really, that game is so special. You can't have and put it in
Yeah,
a
we
video
wanna
with
we
other
wanna
stuff. It needs its own.
we wanna in depth. We're gonna talk about that game tomorrow, more in depth.
So let's get into the games to watch.
We'll talk about that tomorrow. I just wanted to focus on this. We'll talk
Mm.
because it's such a big game. We'll dedicate a
Yeah.
whole episode to talking about USC, and we
Okay.
will talk about other games to watch because there's going to be important games for UCLA fans to watch, especially that Utah and Oregon game in Eugene. Um, Again, this was a game that was winnable, and as poorly as they played, they were in the game. They had a shot to win. Okay, their defense, for all the problems that they've had this year, they stayed. They gave their offense a shot to win, and I mean, you can't ask for anything more. Uh, both sides of the ball have to complement one another, have to play for one another. They just didn't put enough points on the board this week. Yeah, it stings, but UCLA they still have a great opportunity to win this week and the following week, become 10-2 with an opportunity to be in a bowl game, win 11 games, and if they become 10-2, win out. Uh, the best case scenario is a Cotton Bowl, a New Year's Six Bowl, Cotton Bowl. That's a pretty darn good year. All right, and we'll play a good opponent. It'll be good for their football team, good for recruiting across the board. So, let's put this behind us, learn from it. Yeah, it stinks. I was
Mhm.
heartbroken over this loss, um,
I
but
was too.
what are you going to do? You got to move on.
He always jokes with me with stuff like this. So when he woke me up in the morning telling me UCLA lost, I thought he was joking.
Yeah, I wasn't joking. um, yeah, so guys, take care. We'll be talking to you guys tomorrow about the UCLA USC game. A lot of stuff is on the line. Playoff hopes for USC, Pac-12 hopes for both teams. Um, this is the crosstown rivalry, the Battle of Los Angeles for the Victory Bell, and we'll be coming at you tomorrow for analysis of the crosstown showdown. Guys, take care.
We own the Victory Bell.
Yep. We got to keep it blue and spray paint it blue this Saturday night. Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Well, we can't do that because that means fight on. USC does this. It means fight on. So, bye. See ya.
Bye. See ya.